Hello, I am Edward. Welcome to Tech Tacto channel. In this video I am going to show you how to build a contact form in WordPress using Elementor. For those of you who don't know, Elementor is a free WordPress website builder. It offers over 80 design elements like buttons, headings, forms, and over 200 ready-to-use templates so you can build anything you want, either that's a simple form or a full-fledged website. Now in this video I'll show you how to create the simple contact form using the Pro version of Elementor, but if you don't have the Pro version, I'll also show you 2 ways of creating this form using the free version of the plugin. Before we get started, I'll assume that you have a basic understanding of how WordPress works, and how to install a plugin, so I won't go over setting up WordPress and installing Elementor. Instead, I'll just go ahead and start building the contact form, and any resources that I'm going to be using or mentioning. With that said, let's begin. For this demo I'm actually going to be using a landing page that I created before. I created a very simple landing page that looks like this, and we created that from scratch, so no template was used whatsoever. Now, for this demo, I'm going to make some changes to this page, and I'm basically going to replace the section right here with a section that will house a contact form. So let's get to it. First of all, I'm going to select the section, and under style, I'm going to change this background color from custom accent to our custom text, like so. Next I'm going to open up the navigator, and I'm gonna select this heading, copy it, and I'm gonna go to this column and paste it. Now let's just bring that up, and I'm also going to copy this heading, and I'm going to paste it here as well, just like that. Next I'm going to actually delete this heading, this button. Let's close the navigator, and let's select these headings. I'm going to change their text color to white, and I'm actually gonna make this a little bit. I'm gonna add a little bit of transparency, and to this as well, style text color, I'm gonna set it to white. Now the text inside these will say, "Contact us and let's get in touch." Alright, now under this we need to add a form. How do we do that? Well, let me just start by saying that the easiest method is by using the form widget from Elementor, but this is only available in the Pro version, and the Pro version costs about $50 per year. Now if you don't have the Pro version, there are 2 ways you can add your form, and I'm gonna show you those briefly first, and then we're gonna build our form using the Pro form widget. So the first is to use and let me just find it here. Where are you? It's an HTML widget, so you can just drag that in and you would write your HTML code. Right. You'll say form, and then you would add your inputs, and so on and so forth. This requires a bit of coding knowledge, right? Because you need to write the markup, and then you need to go to advanced custom CSS and add your own custom CSS here to style this form. Not a very, let's call it a beginner-friendly approach. So this is one way, using an HTML widget. Another way is to use a shortcode, and a shortcode allows you to embed a form created elsewhere to make things easier. You can simply go to the dashboard, to the plugins, and you can install Contact Form 7. This is a hugely popular and free plugin that allows you to create contact forms, or any kind of forms really. So once you install it, you activate it, and you get a new section here in WordPress. And by default it comes with a standard contact form. You can go ahead and edit that form to your liking. For example, you can remove this field, you can change the text on this button, you can add multiple fields, and so on. Then you can go to these sections and set up your mail, where you would like to receive the mails from the contact form, how the messages should look like, so on and so forth. Essentially you would save the changes, you would copy this shortcode, and then you'd go back to Elementor. You would find the shortcode widget, drag it in, and you would just paste in that contact form. Right. This works. The only problem is, you don't have access to the styling of these fields individually from inside Elementor. Right, you would need to write some custom CSS for them again, and that, will take some time, so I think this is a better approach than the first one I gave you with the HTML widget, where you'd have to code your form from scratch. But still, this is not necessarily beginner-friendly. So with that said, let me show you the preferred way of creating a form with Elementor. And that is by using the Elementor form widget, which again is available on the Pro version, which I have installed right here. So with a simple click and drag, you now have access to the individual form fields buttons, and also the styling of the labels and the fields, and so on. So let's go ahead and do that. So the form name, let's call this contact form. For fields I want name, email and message. This is actually but a standard, but you can always add an item here. And you can choose the type you want. Maybe you want like a select, or maybe your URL. For a website, whatever you want, you can do it inside here. But I'm gonna stick with these 3 fields. I'm gonna go through each one of these fields and I'm going to set the fields as required. Email as well. Email is required. Message will also be required. Here I can define how many rows I want. Let's go with like maybe 6, 7 or 8 rows should do the trick. And these are a little bit too big, too wide, so I'm going to set these up a 75% width. Like that. Now let's go to the button. Set this to 75 as well. For the text I'm gonna say send message actions after submit. You can tell the form what to do after you click the submit button. Here it says email, right? So it's going to send you an email. Here you can define the address where you want that email to be sent. The subject, so new message from, let's call it in my case local WordPress, and it's just gonna give me all the fields here. There are some additional options you can define here, like from whom the email is the name, the metadata, and so on and so forth. Now let's go to style. The label text color, I'm going to set it to white. A little bit lower opacity, something like this, around 80%. And under typography, I'm going to use the same typeface that I used throughout this design, which is Poppins. And it's going to be 18 pixels. Weight is going to be 200. Transform uppercase. Line height is going to be 28 pixels. And also let's give it a little bit of letter spacing, something like 2. Now for the fields. The text color is going to be our custom text. Typography is going to just be the default inherited from the parent. The background color is going to be white. But I want it to be like around 10 opacity, which is, I believe, something like this. I don't want a border color, so we'll actually remove that border. And actually for the text color here, let's go with white for the button. Typography will go again with Poppins. 18 pixels. This is going to be bold. 20 pixels line height. Like that. A border type, we'll give it a 1 pixel border. And where it says next and submit button, let's change the background color to just transparent, like so. Text color is white. Border color, we're gonna set this to white as well. And border radius will just default that to 0. Let's hit update. And now if we go to advanced, we have some more advanced options here, like margin, padding and so on. Let's actually give this a custom width of 640 pixels. And we'll actually align this in the center. Let's also go to style and change the row gaps to 24 pixels, and then under field, reset the border radius for these to 0. And actually what I want to do here is go through field and set the column width to 100%. I know I set it to 75 previously, but I want these to be properly centered in the page. And I want to be able to change the form within just one place instead of changing every single long field width. So let's quickly change this back to 100%. And now you know I can go to Advanced. Here under Positioning Width, I can very easily change the width of my form to whatever value I see fit, in my case 640 pixels. Look just right, so let's go ahead and update that. And we can actually hit preview. And there it is. That is our contact form, and I actually forgot to change the button size to 100 as well, so let's update that, and here it is, our form. Let's see if it works. Send message. I'm just going to quickly check my email here to see if we got an email. Not yet. Maybe it takes a bit of time to send the email. Or maybe I didn't configure something properly in here, maybe because I'm on a local installation of WordPress. Either way, this should work just fine when you're running this on a live server. One last thing I want to do here, this button is not styled properly, so under Style, if we go to Buttons, so the typography is set correctly, border type is solid with OK. So basically it's not getting the correct padding I want. I can't seem to change that from the Advanced tab either. So in this case you need to go to Site Settings. And under Theme Style you will find Buttons. And here you can actually set the correct padding. In my case that padding is 24 pixels top bottom. And 64 pixels left and right like. So let's update that, and here under Site Settings, you can also go to Form Fields, and you can update some properties that couldn't be updated from inside your usual element, or inspectors, for example the text color, the background, the padding here as well. So I can just as easily add a 16 pixel padding to all of these fields, and they will be correctly updated. And finally we can add. Well, if we go back to our form here, we can add a simple text that's going to say all fields are required. And you know, I can align this to the center. I can add like a white text color to that, make it 50 transparent. And under typography we can make this like 18 pixels. And we can use italic on it as well. And then we can select the actual form, and we can add a margin bottom. Let's say 24 pixels or 32 pixels even. Or whatever value you want, so let's update. And now we have our contact form. Pretty cool. As I was saying, this form currently doesn't work properly, because I'm probably on a local installation of WordPress, and the email server is not configured properly. But I'm sure you won't have any problems when you're running it on an actual server, where everything is configured properly. But basically 3 ways of creating a contact form with Elementor. The first 2 ways were a bit more difficult, and worked with the free version of Elementor. This third way is the easiest of all, but you would need the pro version of the plugin to make it work, so the choice is really yours. If you have the pro version, then use the dedicated widget. If not, you'll need to do a bit more work to get it to where you want, but it's also doable by using the first 2 methods I showed you. Alright, and that's the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and come back for another video on our channel. See you in the next video.